Of all the films you saw, do you have a favorite?
At the festival?
Yeah.
My number one film coming out of there was The Disaster Artist. I
wanted to ask about that.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of that film.
Did you read the book?
I didn't read the book.
Oh, the book's fantastic.
Yeah,
Okay.
which is what I've heard. And I feel like the caveat for a lot of people in terms of the laughs comes from the fact that you just have to see The Room in order to really appreciate this and laugh as hard as I did.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
Yeah, you have to see it at a midnight screening at the Music Box Theater.
Yes.
Yeah, can I have a dozen red roses, please?
Oh, hi, Johnny. I didn't know it was you.
How much is
It's
it?
gonna be $18. Oh, you put in. Hi, Johnny.
It's this movie that I was really worried about, you know, just the thought that James Franco and Dave Franco, Seth Rogen, they were all going to be taking on this film. I mean, when you first thought about it, you're like, why these guys?
This is going to be a stoner comedy.
Right. Yeah. I can proudly say that they do it very good justice. James Franco's performance is really good. There's certain moments where he's kind of doing the Tommy Wiseau voice a little too weird. Like, I think when the movie first starts, you're kind of off-put by it. You're kind of like, okay, what is he doing?
What makes you say that?
But it grows on you, and it's like when you hear Tommy Wiseau talk, it's almost perfect. Like, by the end of the film, you're like, yeah, he nails being Tommy Wiseau. Dave Franco's Greg Sestero, and very funny as Greg Sestero.
Is it Sestero or Sestero?
Is it? I think it's Sestero.
Okay.
Yeah.
My name is Greg Sestero.
The odd, funny thing, a little bit of insight about the experience at South by Southwest was it took really long to get into the theater. I think it was because there was a Q&A for the movie beforehand.
For Disaster Artists.
Yeah, there's a Q&A for the film that was before it. I think it was like Atomic Blonde screened. When we finally got into the theater, we learned that Tommy Wiseau and Greg Sestero were in the audience and seeing The Disaster Artist for the first time. So like a lot of fans leaving the theater, even during the filming, were like really worried about like laughing at the jokes, because essentially you're laughing at Tommy Wiseau, right? I mean, you're laughing at the ridiculousness of this movie, the ridiculousness of the fact that he felt like he was making a big Hollywood movie, and it was just like terrible. Obviously, it's like one of the worst movies ever made. And a lot of people were worried, but like after the Q&A for the movie, sort of Franco, revealed that he had grown fond of Tommy Wiseau and sort of really made a good connection with him. So there was really no worry, and they sort of had Wiseau's blessing to do this.
When I read the book, I always said I identify with Tommy in a certain way, where I really respected that he came out to Hollywood, like how many thousands or millions of people have done, and that he got this movie made.
I can't reveal too much about this movie because there's so much of it that you have to go in fresh knowing it.
Yeah.
But the people that are cast in this movie to play the roles of the characters
in the movie
is like, that's like part of the greatness of this film.
Was it sad at all? Or was there a dramatic aspect?
Yeah, there is.
Is it just funny, or is there like an actual sort of message to it? Well, every movie has a message to it. That's kind of a blatant statement.
There is this sort of genuine moment where you can see that this relationship between the two of them became something, and it's essentially what made them. I mean, these two became best friends in a way.
I'm so happy I have you as my best friend.
It showed that they were able to sort of have this friendship,
despite how incredibly different they were.
Yeah. Exactly. Despite how, let's be honest, like Tommy Wiseau seems like a pretty annoying guy, right? Like he just seems like he's a little bit overbearing and things like that.
I directed every single day of that project right up until the last day. And on the very last day, I quit.
And that's sort of what is great about this film because it doesn't treat him like he is a joke all the time. It doesn't treat him like, he's somebody to be ashamed of or anything like that. It really does work on an emotional
him
level.
as a human being rather than just the depiction we see of him all the time where he's just this kooky weird guy.
Correct.
Which he's a kooky weird guy, but there's a human there.
Yeah, there's certain aspects of like who he was and how he got to be the way he is that they don't really dig into, and nobody
knows who the book doesn't even nobody knows.
Yeah, and I don't know if the answers that we want are given, necessarily. And as you're saying from the book, nobody knows at the end of that thing either.
I kept my distance, as I always did at times like this, and waited for the inevitable moment in which Tommy spoke, and the person to whom he was speaking tried to make geographical sense of his pronunciation.
It was my favorite of the fest only because I couldn't stop talking about it. I couldn't stop talking about it, and I couldn't stop laughing about it as well.
What a story, Mark.
Yeah, you can say that again.